In today's video, I'll show you how to customize your shirts with metallic puff vinyl using your Cricut or cutting machine of choice. Let's start with the supplies that you'll need for this project. You'll need metallic puff vinyl, and I got that from Vinyl and Tool Supply, and I'll link that in the description box down below. It comes with instructions and testing samples, and these were very useful, and I'll show you how to use them in a minute. Next, you'll need a shirt of your choice. Cotton, blends, and polyester all work with puff vinyl, and of course you're going to need your Cricut or your cutting machine of choice. You will also need your standard grip mat and a weeding tool, of course. So let's get started. Step 1 is to cut your design. I got this design from Creative Fabrica, and I'll link to it in the description box down below, and I'll also link to a free 1-month all-access trial if you'd like to try it. Once you download the file, you'll need to extract it, and now we're going to go over to Cricut Design Space. You'll need to open Cricut Design Space and click on New Project. Then you'll need to upload your SVG that we just downloaded from Creative Fabrica. Click Upload on the left menu and then browse for that SVG that we just downloaded. Select your SVG file, click OK, and now you'll need to click on Next. Now that the SVG is uploaded to your Cricut Design Space, you can add it to your canvas. This SVG has so many layers and so many colors, but since we're doing the whole project in one color, I'm going to select everything and go under Combine and select Weld, and this is going to weld everything and make it all one piece. So now, after doing that, everything is going to be black and it's going to be only one layer. Now we need to size this graphic according to the size of our shirt. I know I'm using a large crew neck, so I wanted my graphic to be around 11 inches. To help you figure out the right graphic size for your shirt, you can go on the menu and select Templates, and in the drop-down menu under Canvas Types, select Fashion. This is going to pull up a bunch of templates that are available on Cricut Design Space, and now you can add classic shirts onto your canvas. Once you add it to your canvas, you have the ability to change the template size, and now you can enlarge your design as you see fit. You can only use the templates on desktop as of now, and I learned about this feature from Jennifer Maker. So I enlarged my design a little bit based on that template, and then once I was done and I was sure of my size, I turned off the templates layer. And now we are ready to cut. You'll need to click on Make It. And then just like any other HTV project, you'll need to toggle the mirror on. After that, you'll need to click on Continue, connect your Cricut, and choose Everyday Iron On. I would also recommend that you choose More for pressure. So now we're going to go to our standard grip mat and we're going to lay down our puff vinyl shiny side up. And if you're ever confused about what side goes down on the mat, feel free to use your weeding tool to peel away the material, and the carrier sheet is the side that goes down on the mat. I also used my rubber brayer to go over it real quick to make sure that it's sticking real well to my mat. After that, I trimmed it, and then I guess I was too lazy to get my 12 by 24 mat out, so I used masking tape to tape the bottom of my puff vinyl. So now that you have your material laid out on your Cricut mat, you're going to take your mat and feed it into your Cricut, and you're going to hit the C button to cut your design. We're going to let our Cricut do its thing and then come back to it once the cut is done to unload our mat. Once your Cricut is done, you're going to unload your mat and get your weeding tool out to get ready for step number 2, which is weeding your design. When weeding, I like to weed on the mat because it holds down the material for me. So I started weeding on the mat, but then I was so stingy with my puff vinyl that I had to take out the material off of the mat to cut out some of the puff vinyl and save it for later. So don't judge me, but in general, weeding was so easy. So now that our design is almost ready for pressing, I need to share with you my tips and tricks to guarantee success with puff vinyl. The first tip is to use the testing samples that we received to figure out the best heat settings for our heat press. For this, I used my scissors to cut out squares of the different samples that I wanted to test. So before pressing my own design, I used the scrap shirt to figure out the setting for the metallic puff vinyl. The goal here is to figure out the heat settings that gives you the right look for puff vinyl. Because you always want your puff vinyl to come out this smooth and puffy and not this brain or noodle look like. And while each manufacturer gives you the recommended settings, you still have to figure out based on your own heat press. And this is the reason I recommend that you do the same before pressing your own design. Now my next tip is to feed your shirt onto your heat press if you can. And then lastly, and this is very important, is that you need to have heavy pressure. Not even heavy pressure, like very heavy pressure. So as you can see here, I was adjusting the pressure and I was just adding more and more pressure to make sure that I have enough heavy pressure for this shirt before even pressing it. So now I think you're ready for step number 3, which is to lint roll your shirt and pre-press it before we press our design. This is a Gildan crew neck that I got from Joanne, I believe, and I'll link to a similar one in the description box down below. So always lint roll your shirt and pre-press it, and now we're ready for step number 4, which is to press your shirt. You can do this step on the heat press itself, but I just wanted to show you. I like to lay down my design a little bit lower than most crafters do because I wear a scarf. And then you can pre-press your shirt to create a crease to align your design, or you can use a shirt ruler. Just don't sweat it and use what works for you. So now let's go to our heat press and press this design. For this gold metallic puff vinyl, I pressed it at 290 for 15 seconds. And for metallic puff vinyl, it is a warm peel, unlike the normal puff vinyl. So I pressed this for 15 seconds and I got it out of the press to let it cool down a little bit. And for this one, after I peeled the carrier sheet, I didn't feel like I got enough puff, so I put it back to my heat press and I hovered the heat plate over it, and that puffed it up real well. Let me show you the pressing one more time on a different shirt. So here's another shirt that I pressed with metallic puff vinyl, and after I got it out of the press, it was very hot, so I had to let it cool down. When it was warm to the touch, I started peeling the carrier sheet away. And then I hovered the heat plate over it for just 5 seconds or so. And just look at that puff. And here's how our shirts turned out. Don't forget to hit that like button and definitely consider subscribing if you'd like to hear more about Cricut, sublimation, and laser crafts. And most importantly, don't forget to know your worth and then add some tags.